If you're watching this video, then you know a lot about Spider-Man Lotus and the controversy surrounding it. A day ago, the director has dropped the full movie on YouTube, and I decided to watch it on its premiere, and, well, I honestly really liked it. I didn't go into the movie expecting a lot since it's a fan film. It's not supposed to be judged like a professional movie. This movie had a bit over $100,000 put into it, and honestly, I think the use of it paid off. For what the people had to work with, I think it's pretty great, especially the costume and makeup that went into the Spidey suit. The suit looks so gorgeous. From the trailers, I already knew what the movie was going to be about, how it was going to go, and how it's going to play out. This movie is more of a Peter Parker film rather than a Spider-Man film. The movie takes place after Gwen Stacy's death and how Peter, MJ, and Harry are dealing with the aftermath. Now, I feel like it's important that I mention that this movie is mostly made for the people who have read the original comics, since the movie is heavily based on them. People criticize Peter being sort of an asshole to MJ and the kid when they don't realize the other factors are at play here. In the comics, MJ wanted and tried to be the center of attention all the time, so she came off as a huge party girl who had no worries, so when Peter snapped at her, it didn't bother me that much because of what he and we knew about MJ before, and for me, I understand why he snaps at her. At the same time, he's dealing with a bunch of guilt and grief, and he doesn't know how to react, so he lashes out, which is something that is very realistic and relatable to a lot of other people. I really like this movie because it focuses more on Peter's friends and the person behind the mask. We see Harry, who is dealing with the loss of a friend and his father at the same time. Peter is dealing with the loss of his girlfriend, and MJ, who is dealing with the loss of someone she was friends with, as well as seeing her two other friends suffer from grief. This is what I would call a slice of life Spider-Man film. It doesn't have a bunch of fighting or action-packed scenes, and it does have a lot of flashbacks to the fights and the development of Gwen, Peter, Harry, and MJ's friendship, and what they used to be like before Gwen died. For me, personally, I actually enjoy seeing this slow-paced scenes and the flashbacks because we get to know a little more about these characters, and it shows the contrast of how they used to be compared to how they are now. We get a scene of Harry walking through New York, and it shows how lonely he is, not having any friends by his side, and he just came from getting in a fight with Peter. He is looking around the city and is just walking off to nowhere, showcasing how lost he truly feels. He also feels like he has nobody else but himself, and this walk actually represents that. It just shows that, like, as much as Peter is like a superhero to New York, he is still a regular human being, as well as Harry and MJ, and they're no different from the rest of the citizens of New York. They're so vulnerable to like anger, grief, and sadness, and they all reacted to death in like multiple different ways. Sometimes they even lash out against others. One of the biggest highlights of the film is the interaction with Spider-Man and Tim. Spider-Man interacting with a kid who is a massive fan of him is honestly pretty great to watch. Seeing Tim teach Spider-Man how to play his own video game, Tim showing off his action figures and comics kind of reminds me of myself when I loved watching Spider-Man and wanting all the toys and stuff. I enjoyed watching Harry, MJ, and Peter in the aftermath of Gwen's death and seeing the mistakes they make and the actions they have that make them out of their character, or seeing them act kind of out of their character, which shows how much Gwen really meant to them. And at the end, I enjoyed when they came to the realization that they won't get over Gwen's death, but they'll try to keep moving forward, and they'll never forget her and strive to be better than the people they were before. Usually, it takes time for people to make that kind of realization, and it's honestly probably one of the greatest realizations that us humans can come to after, losing a loved one or, things like that. I usually don't understand when people say that Peter is acting out of character, as if he's supposed to be immortal when it comes to dealing with someone's death, especially when it's someone he's very close to. He's still human. Just because he's Spider-Man and has a big responsibility to hold doesn't make him invulnerable to anger, sadness, and grief. Again, like I said before, what they had to work with, the CGI, and some of the action-packed scenes weren't that bad. Obviously, they're not amazing or things like that. But again, this is a fan film, and judging it like a professional movie is, in my opinion, the wrong way to judge or review this movie. With that being said, the only real criticism I had with the movie is obviously some of the acting wasn't really that good, and some parts of the acting was just underwhelming, especially when Spider-Man was holding Gwen. I kind of expected something similar to Andrew Garfield's reaction, or even the comic book's reaction, but, you know, Peter was mostly calm, and I didn't really feel the impact of the scene. It's just like, you know, it just felt kind of underwhelming to me. Other than the acting, I don't really have any other issues with the movie. I surprisingly found myself enjoying it. I like the story, and for what it is, it's not that bad. I think one of the big reasons why I enjoyed it is because I wasn't expecting anything from it or had any hype for this movie. I also had the idea of what it was going to be about and how it was going to play, and the movie basically did everything I expected it to do, and I liked it. So overall, I enjoyed Spider-Man Lotus. It's an 8 out of 10 for me, maybe like a 7.5 out of 10, I would say. But yeah, that's my overall rating of the movie. If you guys have any other different opinions, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll respond to them. So if you guys have enjoyed my sort of like review, or, you know, like my overall like opinions on the movie, please let me know what you guys think. As I have already repeated that, I'm just repeating myself now. Please subscribe to this channel if you guys are new, turn on notifications, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.